Hi, my name's Brandon, and I'd like to go over some of the data manipulation shortcuts in Microsoft Excel. These are pretty nifty shortcuts, and when you're manipulating data, moving it around, so forth, they're really helpful. So first, I'd like to just start out with the shift and then the arrow keys. So if we go to cell B2 and we hold down shift and then move arrow right, it's going to expand our selected cells. Shift arrow down will expand that selection down. Holding down shift still, if we move the arrow up or left, it will reduce our selection. Pretty easy. But let's say we wanted to select the whole thing. Now we don't have more than 2 columns, so we're not going to select more columns, but let's say we wanted to select all of the rows that were continuous with column B, because that's where we started. We can hold down shift still, but instead of hitting shift and just the arrow, we're going to hit control and shift. Then when we press the arrow, it's just like our movement shortcuts when we held control down and used the arrows, except this time it's going to select everything in the middle. Control shift up will take us back to the first row. Control shift down will take us down to the last row. Pretty easy. We're going to copy those with Control C, move a couple cells over here, and then paste them with Control V again. Now I want to demonstrate the same thing but with the gap. So Control and Shift, we hit the right arrow. We're going to go to C2. We hit it again. Going to jump to F2, hit it again, G2. Again, this works exactly like just holding down Control and then hitting the arrows. The only difference is we're selecting the cells as we go. Okay, now let's say we just want to select an entire column of data. Well, we can hold down Control and then hit the space bar. That's going to select the entire column. Now that's different than just hitting Control and Shift and hitting the arrow, which would have gone until we hit the end of our data. This has literally selected the entire column, so you can see that we've even selected the little B up at the top, not just the data in the middle. If we wanted to select the entire row, instead of hitting Control, we can hit Shift and then hit the space bar, and it'll select the entire row. Okay, so let's say we wanted to select just the entire set of data, and we're a little lazy and we don't want to hit Control and Shift and then the right and left arrows like that. We can, holding down Control and Shift, hit the space bar, and it will select our entire group of data. The neat thing about doing it this way is that if we do that again, it will select the entire worksheet. Another way of doing this is just Control A. Control A is the same thing as Control Shift and the space bar. Select it once. If you're in a group of data, it will select the entire group of data. Hit it the second time, it will select the entire worksheet. Now if we were just out here at D5, say, where we're not on data, hitting Control A would select the entire worksheet because there isn't a group of data to select because we weren't in it. Okay, so let's say we wanted to copy the name AJ across all of our names here. We can select our entire group of names, and then we can hit Control and D, and that is going to copy everything down. If we wanted to copy everything to the right, we can select our data again, and then hitting Control R will copy all of our cells to the right, and that's from the first cell or first column to all of the subsequent columns. So I'm going to select some of this data and delete it. Let me put something else in these cells. So we have many columns selected, and we hit Control R. You see that it copies the first column all the way to the right. Selecting the same set of data again, if we hit Control D, you're going to see that first row get copied to all the subsequent rows. Okay, pretty easy. Control R and Control D. This is really nice when you're using something that's more like a function, and you want to copy that function to a group of cells. To demonstrate that, I'm going to hit Control and page down to go to the last spreadsheet in this workbook. And we see that in cell C3 we have a function, and essentially what we're doing is we're getting the value from the first names and adding it to the value that's in the last names. But what if we wanted to change this and we wanted to subtract those values? Well, we can change this first cell. We can see that it has a much lower value than all the subsequent cells. And we can go in and individually change all of those other cells, or we can hit Control C and we can hit Control V and copy and paste, or we can highlight all of our cells, hit Control R and then Control D, so we copy to the right, Control D to copy down, and we can see that now all of our values are using that minus function instead of the plus function. Again, if we wanted to change that back to a plus, we can change our first cell, Control right will copy that all the way to the right, and Control down will copy everything down. Pretty easy. So with the basic shortcuts and with the movement shortcuts, you can see that those are being built upon with the data manipulation shortcuts. And these data manipulation shortcuts will really help you speed up the time it takes to input data or to make changes to some of the functions in the worksheet. So until next time, good luck.